Hello. In this segment, we will be covering how to recover a lost file and also how to save and use Save As. If you will return to your winner screen, first thing I'd like you to do is go to the editor and select a layout. Now, when you are finished editing, and we've covered this in other segments, you can either depress the F2 key to save the file, or you can go up to File and Save. You also have what's called Save As. There may be times when you may want to take a file and give it a different name so that you may have two copies of it or whatever your reasoning is. If you click on Save As, you'll notice at the top of the current file I'm in, it's clientlayout.trp. But let's say I call this client layout 6, and I click OK, or the save button at this point. I am now in the same file but under a different name, client layout 6. So that is the very simple way to do this. Now, let's say you're editing and you have your autosave set for every 3 minutes, and sometime between the last time it autosaved and this time your system went down. And obviously 3 minutes haven't gone by, so that key that I've just added isn't going to be there. So I'm just going to say no here, and it's booted me out, or you got hit with lightning or whatever you did. The thing that is most important for you to remember, and I'm emphasizing this because the first thing you're going to want to do, it's just human nature, is to go back to the editor and open up that file once again. And that is not what you want to do. Do not go back into that file. What you need to do when you get to the open window is click Cancel. Go up to File, and you'll notice you have a Recover button. Please click on that. You will notice that in this open window, all that it's showing you is your backup files and your autosave files. That is all it is showing. Now, something I need to explain if you don't know the difference between save and backup. When you are looking at your client layout, let's say this one, save. If you look in this little box that's up right now, it says 1:56 p.m. That's the last time it was saved. If you point to the backup file, it says that the last time the backup file was saved was 4:08 p.m. Sometimes your backup file could be newer than your autosave. And how that happens is this. The first time you go into a file, it makes an immediate backup. That backup file stays the way it was, even though you might have been editing it for the last 4 hours. And it will stay that way until you either hit F2 or save the file before leaving. Once you do that, it backs up again. So depending on when this happens to you, the first thing you want to do is you want to check the time and the date, and make sure that you are getting the most recent autosave. Now, like in this one, it autosaved on the 14th at 10:54. Backup was at 10:48. In this instance, my autosave file is the newer. but that is not always true. So please check the times before you select one. Don't automatically go to the autosave thinking that that will be your most recent one. Okay, what we're going to do at this point is I'm going to select one of these files and I'm going to open it. Now, you'll notice that the extension on this file has a .sav extension. That means this is your autosave file. You cannot work in this autosave file because if you do, it's not going to be able to continue to autosave. So what we need to do from here after you get into this autosave file or even your backup file, you need to go to File, Save As. And you need to add one letter or number, I don't care how you do this, after it. So I'm just going to put another A here and I will click Save. Now I'm back in the file with a TRP extension and I can go on my merry way and I can look and see what changes I've lost. Technically, if you're in the autosave file, you should never lose more than the last 3 minutes. If your autosave is set for 3 minutes, you should never lose more than 3 minutes. Remember, you set your autosave under Tools and Preferences, under the Save tab. Now, you may be thinking, well, gee, why don't I just set it to 1 minute? I really don't think you should do that. 3 minutes is good. And the reason I don't like to see people do 1 minute is because you get so upset when you've lost a file that sometimes you forget and you go right back into the file and you start looking and you're crazed. And if you do that and you have it set on a minute, before you figure out you're in the wrong place, that minute could go by and it could autosave again. That minute's not long. And then at that point you're up the creek. You have lost. So I would keep it on 3 just in case you lose your mind. During your training session, your trainer should have a handout called Recover. My suggestion to you is that you take that handout and you place it on a wall or something or on your desk up in front of you so that if it ever happens to you, it's right there in front of your face. So, and then just follow the instructions. If you do that, you won't ever lose more than 3 minutes. Now, let's say something has happened to your autosave file and you have to use the backup file. Well, yes, then if you have not manually saved your file since coming into it in the morning, you will have lost that number of hours. But you know what? Here's how I've always looked at that. If I've been working on a case for 4 days, I would rather have lost a couple hours than 4 days worth. You always have to look at the positive side of things. If, however, you can think of it and you've been editing quite a while and every once in a while you reach up and hit F2, it'll back it up again and you'll be a little closer. So I hope that's not too confusing, and hopefully you get the gist of using the Recover feature. Alright, that concludes this segment on Recover and Save and Autosave, and I'll be back with the next segment in a few moments.